Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Change your life instantly. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. In fact, I'd say that many of the biggest, most powerful changes you will make in your life, you will make instantly. Now, we all know, of course, some things, some goals, some changes, some successes do require time, right? To become fluent, effortless in your English speaking takes time. To build a business takes time. If you're very small and weak, to build muscle, to become very strong, it takes time, of course. However, there are many, I think the most important changes you will make in your life will happen instantly. Instantly. Today we're talking about changing your life instantly. How and why? Instantly means in no time, right away, right? Very, 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 very fast, instantly. Welcome, we're live. I've had a tiring, difficult week. I'm still a little bit tired. I was in the hospital for this week with one of my children, and hospitals are terrible places for resting. Just so tired, they would come in to my child's room, and so at night I'm sleeping next to my child's bed and on this little kind of couch, not very comfortable. And every hour a nurse would come in, and sometimes they check the temperature, they check the blood pressure, they check the paperwork, and luckily my child continued sleeping through most of that, although sometimes got woken up. But I would wake up every time they came in the room, so basically I got terrible sleep all week. Hospitals are terrible places for resting. You can't rest in a hospital. I don't know why they do this. They just, they're so focused on their own rules and their paperwork. They don't think about the patient and how the patient, or the patient's parent in this case, need rest most of all. So maybe just do all of those checks one time, and then don't come back for a few hours. They have these machines, so if anything wrong happens, some big emergency, they will know. There's an alarm. So anyway, I'm tired. A week in the hospital, not fun. All right, let's talk about our topic, which is changing instantly. So what do I mean by this? So like I said, some goals, of course, take time. But I think many times in our life, the biggest change we'll make, the biggest changes we will make, they happen instantly. Why? Because the largest, most important changes, most positive changes in our lives are usually changes of perception or changes of understanding or what we call a paradigm shift. I'll give you, this is a word you'll see in business a lot. Business books use this paradigm shift. You'll see it in other articles. So let's talk about this. You can learn some new vocabulary. A paradigm is basically like a worldview, like a mindset. Means it's a general attitude. A paradigm is a general attitude. It's a general way of understanding the world. Okay? So it's like your general viewpoint. It's called paradigm. Paradigm. So a paradigm shift. Shift means a change. So it's a change of your big viewpoint. So for example, I'll give you a very, very large example. Someone might be an atheist, right? They believe there's no God. There's no God. The world is meaningless. There's no meaning. There's no morality. There's no goodness. Nothing, right? And then suddenly they have a change, maybe from some experience in their life, maybe through some realization, and suddenly they they believe in God and they develop a faith or devotion to God. That's a big paradigm shift, right? It's a complete change of viewpoint. And that huge change, right, it will affect their whole life, right? A change that big, a paradigm shift, a paradigm change, a viewpoint change, that big will affect everything, right? It will affect their relationships. It will affect their behavior in all parts of life. It will affect their emotions. It will affect whether they're optimistic or pessimistic. It will affect how they view their children. It will affect how they do business. It will affect everything, right? So that one change could have a huge change in their life in just a moment, right? Very, very, very fast. That change of viewpoint, that paradigm shift, could completely change someone's life in all areas in a very big way. It could happen instantly. In fact, if we look at history, we know there are actually some quite famous examples of people who had just these sudden big shifts, religious or spiritual awakenings that happened very quickly and completely changed everything about them and their lives, right? So that's a very large example. But here's another example maybe you can understand in your own life of a paradigm shift, a change of viewpoint. It's very common, most common, that students who are learning English, they start learning English in school, and they learn with grammar, right? What do they learn in school? They learn grammar rules. They're studying textbooks. They're doing those little textbook exercises. And they do this year after year after year after year, doing, memorizing vocabulary lists, trying to memorize all of these grammar rules. And of course, every grammar rule has exceptions. It's trying to memorize all the irregular verbs, for example, all the exceptions, and it's very stressful. It's difficult, not very effective, especially for speaking. Maybe somewhat helpful for writing, but not for speaking and not for listening. And so many students, many English learners will go through their, teenage years and their early 20s in university with this viewpoint. They think, grammar is most important. I must memorize every grammar rule of English and every exception. If I memorize these perfectly, then I'll finally speak English well. But of course, they never do. They never can. It's kind of, I won't say it's impossible, but it's super difficult to remember all of those rules and to analyze the grammar like that. And even if you do it, the sad part is it actually will not help your speaking very much. In fact, it can hurt your speaking, right? As you know, right? Your head, you're thinking so much about the grammar rules and you're so worried about making mistakes with grammar that your speaking actually gets worse. It gets slower. It's the opposite of effortless, right? It's a lot of effort just to think constantly of every sentence you're trying to say, right? So this is it's a viewpoint. It's the common viewpoint. It's the common paradigm of English teaching and English learning. Very common. And many people will continue as adults, right? They leave school, but they still have the same viewpoint. They still think grammar is the key, the grammar rules. They still think that's the number one key. So they're studying independently maybe, but they did not change their viewpoint. They did not change their paradigm. So they continue, and it's still frustrating and stressful and difficult. Not much success. They can do this for years and years and years, and then suddenly they're 30, they're 32, they're 35, and maybe they find effortless English. They read my book or get my free emails, right? And they read my rules, and rule number 2, don't study grammar. Don't study grammar rules. Don't memorize grammar rules. And right? Some people, they say, that's crazy. They can't change. They can't change the viewpoint. The viewpoint's too strong because of all those years of school. But some people have a sudden change. I know because they email me, they send me messages here in the live chat. You guys talk about this, where especially that chapter in my book, or that rule, the don't study grammar rules. That's the number one paradigm shift that my students make. The number one change, and it can happen very quickly. Suddenly they go, wow, now I understand why I had so much trouble in the past with English. And they make a sudden change in their attitude, a sudden change in their beliefs, and they decide no more grammar rules. I'm not studying grammar rules anymore. And they stop immediately, instantly, in that moment, on that day, after they read that chapter in the book, or after they get that email, they stop studying grammar rules. They have a huge paradigm shift, right? Their whole way of thinking about English learning changes very fast. And they start learning in a completely different way using the effortless English method or another natural kind of method. And then suddenly, after so many years of stress and difficulty, suddenly English becomes much, much easier. Suddenly, learning English becomes more enjoyable, more effective, more interesting. Everything changes because of that mental change, right? That paradigm shift, the attitude change, the change of beliefs, which is all inside your head, right? It's all mental. But that mental change completely and totally changes your English learning experience and completely changes your results. And then suddenly, in just 6 months, or maybe in just 1 year, you are speaking English fluently and effortlessly. Not perfectly, you make mistakes sometimes, but you're not stressed about the mistakes anymore. You don't care. You're focused on communication. You're not perfect, but you're speaking effortlessly, meaning there's no stress when you speak. The words come out easily, naturally, right? And it's all, that change happens really in that one moment when you change your mind about grammar study. That one mental change changes everything. And, when I look at my own life, I look back at my life, I see the biggest changes in my life. It's easier when you look back, right? Sometimes in the moment, like right now, you don't realize how big the change is. But later you realize, wow, that one change of my mindset, that one change of my belief completely changed the path, completely changed my life, right? And this can happen with health, right? You suddenly decide maybe all your life, like there are many people I know that when they're young, they're not active, and they think they are, they're kind of weak, physically weak, not very healthy. I'll give you an example of this, actually. I'll give you a real world example. Jack LaLanne. So as a teenager, very sickly, getting sick all the time, very weak, very, very small little muscles, very small guy, and always sick, always getting sick, and very frustrated. And, he tried to do some exercise and some things, but nothing worked. And he kind of believed, he thought, oh, I'm weak. I'm just weak. I will always be weak. I will always get sick easily. I will always be a physically unhealthy person, right? And then when he was, I think it was when he was maybe around 18, 19 years old. I'm not sure exact date, but he went to a seminar, a meeting by Paul Bragg. And Paul Bragg, this is like a long time ago, but Paul Bragg was a kind of health guru. Health, he focused on healthy eating and good exercise and kind of good stuff, right? And Jack LaLanne, he's in the meeting, he's listening to Paul Bragg. He says, I'm going to try everything. I'll try all of this, right? Like, so doing like fruits and vegetable juices and eating lots of fruits and vegetables and, avoiding all junk food and, lifting weights or doing some hard exercises, and fasting. Fasting was one of the things Paul Bragg taught a lot. So Jack LaLanne, in that moment, decided, okay, I'm going to change my beliefs. I'm going to try all of this. So he, in that moment, in that meeting, that seminar, he decided, I'm going to live this way. I'm going to try this. And he did it, and guess what happened? He got healthier and healthier and stronger and stronger and stronger. And this became his whole life, actually. His whole life, Jack LaLanne's whole life, became focused on health and fitness. He became a super healthy, super fit, very strong guy. And, many of you know the story. He lived to age 96. And you can see on YouTube, you can find videos of him at age 93. And he's very energetic and still, it's just quite amazing, actually. He does not look 93. He looks like he's, I don't know, 98, 70, 20 years younger at least. And it completely changed his life. And of course, then he also became a health guru. He decided, I want to help other people be healthy too. I want to help other people make the change. So again, it took time, of course, exercising and changing his life, but really the change happened instantly, very fast. The change happened immediately in that meeting when he changed his mind, when he decided, I'm going to follow Paul Bragg's advice. I'm going to do all of this. I'm going to change how I eat. I'm going to change how I exercise. I'm changing everything. That decision, the paradigm shift, right? His change of attitude, his change of mindset, his change of belief changed his whole life. And it happened in that moment, that one day, changed his whole life. So this is very good news for us, because sometimes we all get frustrated in different parts of our lives. And sometimes we're trying and failing and trying and failing, maybe for years and years and years. We're trying and failing. And sometimes it starts to feel a little hopeless, right? But we don't realize the problem. The problem is not our actions. The problem is usually it's in our mind. We have a wrong belief. We're taking the wrong actions. Even though we're trying hard, we're using a lot of effort, but we're doing the wrong thing, right? It's like the people who are studying grammar rules in school. A lot of them work very hard, right? It's a lot of effort. They many hours trying to memorize these grammar textbooks and rules and taking lots of tests. And they're not lazy, right? They're not lazy and they're not stupid. They're very smart, very intelligent people, and with a lot of effort, but they're getting bad results. Why? It's not because the problem is, right? The problem is the belief. The problem is they think grammar is the key, and it's not. Right? Memorizing grammar rules, that's not the key to speaking effortlessly. So that one belief is causing all their pain. It's not the effort, it's not their intelligence, it's not that they're bad at English, it's not none of that. It's just this one belief. And sometimes it's hard to see that, right? It's hard to figure out like what is causing me to fail. I had this idea, I had this problem with money. Like I suffered for 20 years working jobs that I pretty much hated, or at least was unhappy in every single job I had in my life. 20 years, from 18, really from 17, I think was my first job, to age 38, so 21 years. And and again, why? Because I had the wrong idea. It was the wrong belief caused my pain. What was the belief? I had a belief. I thought I can find the right job. I thought there is a good job for me, right? I just need to find it. So I kept trying different things. It seems like a logical belief, right? There's somewhere there's a good job for me and I'll love it. But I was wrong. That belief caused all my pain, because the truth is, I hate jobs in general. I don't like having a boss. I don't like working for other people. The solution for me was not a better job. The solution was to have my own business. Don't have a job at all. Right? But it took me 20 years to figure that out. And when I finally made that change in my mind, all jobs, I hate them all. I need to not have a job. When I finally realized that, it just took me a couple of years, and then I was free and very, very, very happy. Right? The problem was my belief. Again, it was this one belief, I can find the right job. That belief was causing me the pain. It was causing me to fail because that belief was wrong. For me, it was wrong. Now, maybe, many people like jobs, so it's personal. It's up to you. So if you're having an area of your life that's really frustrating, instead of trying harder, try to figure out, what is your, main belief about that area of life? And think about changing it, right? Instead of trying harder, instead of just trying to do more, instead, think about how can I completely change my attitude? How can I completely change my viewpoint about this? Another area of life for me was children. Let's see, so 50, 40, 30, 35 plus years, I thought, children will be difficult. Having children means I would have no freedom. Having children would be frustrating. I had all these very negative beliefs about it. And it took me 30 years until I finally changed those beliefs. Finally had children recently. And I love it. I was totally wrong. I love it, love it, love it. I'm tired, but I love it. Okay? It's just like these little beliefs can get stuck in our head. And maybe when I was 22, that was a correct belief for me. Maybe when I was 22, I was not ready to be a father. Probably not when I think about it. Okay? But the problem is I held the belief. I kept that belief too long, right? Because by the time I was 32 or 42, my life, my attitude, lots of things changed, but I kept the same belief. And this is another problem that we have. A lot of these beliefs we hold on to them too long. This is why they cause us so much pain. Where maybe we're 17 years old and we have a belief, or we have an idea or a strategy, or we have a viewpoint. And maybe in that time when we're 17, maybe it's useful for us. Maybe it's correct. It's useful. The problem is 10 years later, we're 27. Our life is different. We are different. But we still keep that old belief still, right? And then we're 37 and we're still holding this idea of a teenager. And at this point, the idea, the belief, the viewpoint is causing us pain. It's causing us failure, but we don't see it because we're holding on to this old idea. We don't realize it's not helpful anymore. So this is something else it's very useful to do, is look at all your old ideas, your old beliefs. Don't be afraid to change. I think sometimes people are afraid to change, right? Like I used to be kind of liberal. I would describe myself politically. You can hear it even in some of my old podcasts. You can hear it in many of my lessons. And now I'm not. Now I'm quite the opposite. Because, well, I was young and with not a lot of life experience, less life experience. And I didn't realize how evil socialism is, how evil. I guess I kind of knew how evil communism is, but even socialism is just pure evil. And only with more experience in life, only being around, like living in San Francisco and really being around people who are very left-wing, very socialist, did I finally wake up and see the truth. And then I had a choice. Well, I can hold my old beliefs still, be proud and say, oh, well, I can't change. Or I can change my beliefs. I have new information. I have new experiences. I'm going to change my ideas. And I think too many people hold on to the past. Like, when they're 19, they think a certain way, and then they're 39, and even though kind of they know it's not right, but they hold on to that old idea, that old belief, just because like they're afraid. They think maybe people will criticize them if they change. It's a foolish thing, right? Because we should learn, we should change. You should have different beliefs when you're 39, when you're 59, compared to when you're a teenager. You should, or else something's wrong with you. You're stupid. Okay? If you're 59 years old and you still have all the same beliefs as when you were 19, it means you learn nothing. It means in 40 years you learn nothing. Right? That's sad. That's very sad. So you definitely want to change. You definitely want your beliefs to change, and many of them will change in a huge way, in a very big way, and you'll realize, man, I was quite foolish when I was young. That's good. That's good. That means you're learning. You're growing. Good for you. Don't be afraid to change your beliefs. All right, let's get into our comments and questions live. A little bit casual show today. Like I said, I had a hard week. I'm still kind of tired, so I'm going to kind of just a little bit relaxed, a little casual, and just chat with you for the rest of the show. All right, let's see. Effortless language learning says, AJ, I'm from Uzbekistan. What do you think about mistakes? They're fine. Because when we usually talk to non-native speakers, they always try to find mistakes in our speech. That is a good point. Maybe they just want to seem smart. You're exactly right. Non-native speakers, this is the case. This is what everybody tells me. This is what most of my students, it's the same experience. Which people are the ones who will correct your mistakes or maybe even laugh at you if you make a mistake? Native speakers or non-native? It's the non-natives, right? If you talk to an American and you make a mistake with grammar, they don't care. They don't care. A Canadian, they don't care. An Australian, they don't care. They're not going to correct you. They don't care. They're just trying to talk to you. They just want to communicate, okay? They know you're not a native speaker, okay? But like, is it he or she? I can't see the picture, but anyway, what they said is that they want to seem smart, and that's usually the case. That's what I noticed, is they're trying to make you feel bad, and they're trying to make themselves look, oh, I'm a big English expert, and you're wrong. What's funny is that sometimes they do this on maybe like my social media, like on Facebook or Gab, and many times they are wrong, right? Many times a non-native speaker will correct your mistake, but you are correct and they are wrong. You didn't make a mistake. They're trying to act smart, but they're wrong. I've even had these people try to correct my English, which is pretty funny sometimes. So some non-native speaker will try to say, oh, no, you don't say that in English. And it's like, it's such a joke. They're wrong. They're completely wrong. They're just trying to look smart. There are people like this. Ignore them. Okay? So my advice about mistakes, relax. Who cares? Number 2, if someone corrects your mistake, you can just tell them to shut up. Okay? Say, I don't need an English teacher. Thank you. Please don't correct my mistakes. And like I said, many times they are the ones making the mistake, not you. So you can't trust them. You can't trust their advice because it might be wrong. Many times it's wrong. Tom Kumar says, do you think because of Britain, Indians are good at English? Well, I think probably it really varies in India. I've traveled in India a good amount. So there are many Indians who speak excellent English. You know, they're basically they're native speakers. They grow up speaking it in their home, as children. So they're native speakers. Their English is excellent. But then there are also a lot of people who grow up speaking, more of a local language. It might be Hindi or it might be Gujarati or, Maharashtrian or something. So where they don't really learn much English at all, and then their English is not very good. So it's quite variable in India that from my experience traveling around. There was kind of all levels of English in India, from perfect native level, to almost none. Belisario says, hello, salutations from Peru. I'm learning English. Fantastic. Wonderful. Still thinking about the book club. Javohir is asking which book club I recommend. The Rational Male. Let me think. We're doing and I think we're doing a fiction one next. Yeah, fiction next. I'm still thinking about it. I'm not sure. I've had like I said, I had a tough week. I didn't think about it this week at all. I guess actually I'm not thinking about it. I will think about it. It was a stressful week. Effortless language again. Do you think listening to music helps acquire language? For me, I don't think so. No, I don't think so either. Because it's not natural in any way. Music, it's not natural English. The pronunciation is often not normal, right? Because they have to make it fit the song. The lyrics, the words, the sentences often have almost no meaning. It's impossible to know what they're talking about. So I generally don't. No, I don't believe so. Maybe. Yeah, no, not really. I think movies and TV much better, because those are conversations. Yeah, like, is it Tui says, I heard a lot of teachers say the native will never care about your mistake. They just care about what you're talking about, right? Correct. Almost every native speaker, they don't care about that stuff. And why do some non-natives? It's just from school training, right? They've been trained. They have this paradigm, this belief that, you must have perfect grammar. Everything must be perfect. And they're so stressed about it. And that's why they believe that. But native speakers don't speak English with perfect grammar. Most of them don't. We have a lot of very common phrases and expressions in English, in American English, and I'm sure it's the same for British and Australian, and that are not grammatically correct according to textbooks, but they're super common and they are correct conversationally, right? They're correct English, but even though, if a grammar teacher or a non-native speaker will say that's wrong, that's an adjective, you have to use an adverb. They're but they just don't understand English. You have to understand also that spoken English and written English have different rules. So in written English, I have to change this even again, that spoken English and casual written English, like emails to a friend or texting, and then formal written English, all three of these have different rules, right? So speaking and casual writing, like texting your friend, you can ignore a lot of grammar rules, and most native speakers do. It's only when you're doing formal writing, right? If you're writing a book, if you're writing a paper for school, if you're writing a business report, then all of those school grammar rules that you learn become more important. Yes, okay? But it's only for formal writing. It's very different for conversational speech, and even for casual writing, like texting or emailing somebody. You can ignore a whole lot of those rules, and we often do ignore many grammar rules. Only when you start doing formal writing. So that's why for speaking, you can just relax. Of course, you try to do your best, but Don't get stressed about it. Ilana Khan, good to see you, says, to make any change in our life, we need to have an open mindset. Fixed mindset holds us back from achievement and progress. Yes, indeed. The problem is that, like, we have these blind spots. Like I said, we have where maybe we get a belief from, especially it's the old beliefs that are the hardest, right? And sometimes we don't even know where do they come from. Maybe they came from parents. Maybe they came from some media, some movie or TV show we watched, something we read. Often we don't even remember. And we don't even realize that we have this belief that's causing problems. Like I said, that the situation I had with my working, it took me 20 years to finally realize, yeah, no job no job will ever make me happy. I didn't realize it. I don't know why. It was like we call a blind spot, right? It's like I just couldn't see that. I couldn't see that belief, and I couldn't see that it was causing me problems until after many, many, many years and many difficult experiences, I finally So that's the hard thing, is seeing them sometimes. Like there are a lot of people who are they're frustrated learning English. They're having such a hard time. But then if you tell them don't study grammar rules, if they get my free email course or something, they just shocked and they can't believe, no, this guy's crazy, and they won't change. They just don't realize it. Maybe a few years later they finally will wake up, but many times they think that I'm crazy. Oh, yeah, people are asking about writing. So, the bad news about writing is that we'll talk about formal writing. The bad news about formal writing is, yes, you have to be basically perfect with grammar rules. Spelling's easy because we have spell check, but it's the grammar that's often tough. And not just grammar, even style, right? It's very common, I've noticed, I'll give you my basic advice for writing well. One thing I noticed when I was teaching in a school, I was teaching kind of college-age kids English, right, from different countries. And we would do writing sometimes, writing assignments, I would say. Write about, very easy stuff, very easy topics. Like write about, what did you do last week? And one of the key things I noticed was that most of the students, in fact, almost all, it was probably like 99%, I was kind of shocked, used very, very long, complicated sentences, tried to, and they tried to use big, complicated, difficult vocabulary. Huge mistake. Don't do that. Okay, huge mistake. And the result, what was the result? The result was it was unreadable. So even a simple topic like what did you do last week, many of their essays, their papers, I'm not exaggerating. I could not figure out what they were trying to say. It was so overcomplicated. And they were using these, they're trying to use these GRE words, these SAT words, TOEIC words, TOEFL words, but you often using them incorrectly, that it just created huge confusion. So the number one advice I have is use simple English when you write. That means short sentences, short, direct sentences. Okay, if you have a very long sentence with a lot of words, break it into 2 or 3 or 4 sentences that are short. Subject, verb, object. Very simple. And number 2, for vocabulary, same advice. Simple, common words. The most simple, the most common words. If you have to choose, you're trying to choose, you've got, you want to say you're angry. You're talking about your writing, and you said, I was very angry. Okay, some people will try to say, something very complicated, right? Using long sentences. Instead, just say, I was very angry. Okay? Short, simple words, simple sentences, super understandable. Everyone will understand. That's good writing. Good writing is understandable. Right? You don't need to have 20 words in your sentence and use words like, furious, and I don't know. If you know how to use a word that's a little more specific and maybe a little more difficult, that's fine. But if you're not quite sure, use the simple word. 1 second. Excuse me. Woo. Excuse me again. So there's my quick, simple advice. Abraham Ali says, hey, Abraham, says, college professors use complicated words to sound intellectual. That's right. Yes, they do. They tend to do this. Now, sometimes a complicated word, meaning just a less common word, sometimes that's the correct thing because it will express an idea, it will communicate an idea perfectly, and that's fine. But yes, many academics, professors and such will always choose the more complicated word and try to make their sentences super, super long. It's a show. They're trying to pretend or show I'm so smart, right? And what they're doing also, they're hiding the fact that their ideas are often super simple and wrong. But if they hide their ideas behind a lot of big words and complicated sentences and ideas, it makes everything seem so intellectual. But when you finally figure out what they're trying to say, it's actually something simple and not so smart. There's a lot of that in academia, a lot of it. Excuse me, I need to get some water. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, got a water bottle. I forgot my water bottle this time. Do I still maintain a journal? Write something every day? Not since the babies came. Not every day. And I occasionally. Although right now, mostly I have a jiu-jitsu journal where I just take notes on the techniques. So it's just kind of whatever I'm doing, right? So if I have business ideas, I'll write them down. But recently they've been focused on jiu-jitsu. Oh, let me turn this fan on. Matalua Jean says, big fan of you. Thank you. Oh, cool. An Iranian who loves Iraq says, I've been a chef for 5 years, but I changed my attitude after seeing your book club, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And because of this fake China virus. Nice. Now I have started a business growing mushrooms. That's really cool, man. Congratulations. See? Right? You have this this change, and suddenly you're a chef for 5 years. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but boom, now an entrepreneur growing mushrooms. Very cool. John Uruguay says, what do you think about Duolingo app? I alternate your channel and application. My English is good. I have 9 months going. If you like it, use it. I personally don't like it. I found it a little boring, but if you like it, it's fine. Whatever. But I mean, that's the basic rule, guys, is that if you like it, you enjoy it, the method that you're using or some source, some material, and you feel like it's helping you, then fine. Abraham, following up, says, talking about professors, I think they don't want to teach us everything because many of them don't want their students to be better than them. Yes, this happens. That's why they make things complicated. Anyway, self-education is the only way to learn. I agree. Yes, it happens. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of politics. That's why I laugh when people say science. You must trust the science. And it's such a joke. It's like there's no such thing as science. Okay, there are scientists. There are many. They don't agree on pretty much. They agree about almost nothing. And also, if people think scientists are some kind of holy people, they're not. They are. There's a huge. Just look at the history of science, guys. There's just a huge amount of politics. There's a huge amount of money, greed, all kinds of things, personal conflicts, right? It's just like everything, every other area of humanity. So yes, you will find this in education for sure. For sure. A lot of it. A lot of stuff like that happens in academia. Sheva here says, can you describe about your VIP course? Just try it. It's only $1 to try it. EffortlessEnglishClub.com. $1. You can try my VIP program. It's the cheapest way to try one of my courses and see if you like it. So it's only $1 to try it. It's 10 days to try it, and you keep the lesson you get. So you'll get a full lesson set, full unit, and even if you quit, you can keep that one. So for $1, it's not a bad deal. Effortless language learning again. What do I think about Steve Kaufman and his methods of acquiring languages? I think Steve's great. Big fan of Steve's. I've used his website for Spanish and Japanese, and he's wonderful. Great. Actually, just before I started Effortless English, I worked for him for a very short time. Worked for him, meaning I was like like an English conversation tutor. Back then, in the early days of Link, they had like native speakers, they would pay them you get paid for talking to other members of Link. I think it's a different system now. Sriracha, good to see you. She says, I agree. Life will change. It depends on your attitude. Oh, cool. Upsong Paladin says, how are you, AJ? I am watching from Dharamsala. That's a cool town. I like Dharamsala. Very nice. Lots of Tibetans there. Tu Hoi says, in Vietnam, plenty of English learners have been learning with grammar and textbooks, including children. Yes, I know. It's very hard to convince them to learn your method, but in my mind, your method is the best. It is. It's hard to change people's minds. You don't have to change their minds, right? It's up to them to change their own minds. Hello to Costa Rica. Michael Sylvan. Yeah, like Abraham says, Steve Kaufman's amazing. AJ interviewed him many times before for this. Yeah, he's been on this show a few times. I've interviewed Steve. Orifion says, if I have a specific question and I want to communicate with you, do you respond to Facebook messages? No, generally no. I don't usually respond to Facebook comments or messages, right? There's too many, like, same with Twitter. I don't respond to Twitter. I don't even read my Twitter responses. I will choose one social media. I post stuff. I put stuff on all of them until I get banned. Facebook, I'll be banned very soon on Facebook. Guarantee it. Maybe here on YouTube too. Yeah, probably very soon. By the way, yeah, so if I get banned on YouTube, guys, then you should follow me on gab.com. AJ Hoge is my account. YouTube just removed something like 20 or more big channels. They're all connected to QAnon. And I'm going to be talking about QAnon soon. And they are desperately trying to stop Q and the information getting out. They're scared because the truth is coming out, and they're trying to stop it. Twitter's trying to stop it. Facebook's trying to stop it. So I'm going to do my part since some other people have been banned. I feel like some other people like myself, we need to step in and share the information, and then I'll get banned and someone else will share the information. But there's another website. It's called BitChute, BitChute, bitchute.com. And I have a channel there. So if my YouTube disappears, follow me over on BitChute, Effortless English, AJ Hoge. Or follow me, coming back to the question, that's where I will respond to Gab messages. Okay, that's the only one I really respond to. Like I recently got in some arguments on Facebook with people, but generally I don't waste my time on Facebook. I'll post something, people can comment, but I don't usually answer questions there. I don't answer my YouTube comments. In fact, I turn them off now. There's no YouTube comments. I don't answer Twitter, okay? Because they're censoring. There's no point. I can't talk freely on those places. If I try to put my true belief or ideas in on like Facebook, they'll just ban me. They've already done it. They've removed my posts. They remove images. They remove videos. YouTube has removed one of my videos where I talked about pornography and how it's bad and terrible. Why is Google supporting pornography? Good question. Twitter is banning. They're banning the president of the United States. They're banning official government websites. But then they support terrorist accounts. I'm sick of these places. I'm sick of Twitter. I'm sick of Facebook. I'm sick of YouTube. So I'll do my best. But if you want to ask me a question, do it on Gab. Gab is the only place I can speak freely without being, having my account removed immediately. So that's the place to find me. And eventually for video, it will be BitChute. And there's a few others for video too. I'll let you know. You should sign up for actually the best thing is sign up for my email list, because then that's how I will tell everybody where to find me. So if my different accounts get banned or removed, if you're on my email list, I'll just send an email, and tell you where to find me. So again, sign up for my email. It's free, effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. Sign up for my email. Cool. Upsing, if I ever visit Dharamsala again, I would be happy to meet you. That'd be great. It's a nice place. It's where the Dalai Lama lives. Uzmanov says, my near friends have bad habits like smoking, alcohol, bad girls. Please help me how to solve the problem. If I don't follow them, they criticize. Oh, in that case, just find new friends. There you go. Find new friends. I was going to say, before I read the last sentence, I was going to say, well, it's just let them live their lives, It's not up to you. Don't worry about it. If they want to smoke, let them smoke, if they want to drink alcohol and if they want to date bad girls, they'll pay a price, I promise you. But so as long as if they're leaving you alone, they're not pressuring you, then no problem. But then in the last sentence, you're saying if you don't follow them, if you don't do these things, they criticize you. They're trying to pull you into these bad habits. That means they're not very good friends. So I would say get rid of them. You don't need them. Find better friends. Find better friends. That's my advice. Daniela Ramos says, I think living in it, you must have asked a comment earlier that I missed. Anyway, it looks like I'm asking about living in a new country. I think it would be a great experience, but I fear missing my family, especially my mom, would make me sad. How is it possible to deal with this? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to live in another country and be away from family. Just do it temporarily, and then you get a nice experience, and then you go home. So you could probably handle it for a year, right? You still miss your mom and miss your family and friends and your home, but you have a lot of cool experiences for 1 year, and then you go home. So you're not away from them forever. It's a lot easier if it's short term. Then you can find out, do you really like it? Maybe you won't like it. Khalid says, wish, hopes, diligence, and perseverance, dreams can come true. All very good advice. Yes. Orphan says, I'm a tour guide, but I can't speak English easily or fluently. What was your advice? Get my book and follow the advice in there. You want to listen a lot. That's the first step, is do a huge amount of listening. And ideally, you want to listen to things, audios or videos that are connected to the kind of things you talk about in your job. So travel, right? Tourism. Okay, they're coming in fast now. Okay, sorry, just trying to catch up, guys. Hope you'll have your own platform soon. That's the safest way, but it costs some money, says Ibrahim Ali. Yeah, it's very expensive to have your own video platform. Audio's not too bad, but the video is pretty expensive. But I'll be looking into it. Maybe if I could set up some kind of membership or something, I could just do that. I may do it. There's a few people I follow that have been banned from everywhere else, and they just made their own platforms. Yes. AJ, can you tell us the benefits of audiobooks? Having little trouble to explain to language learners in Uzbekistan. Yeah, vocabulary. You're getting a huge amount of vocabulary, and you're also. So why are audiobooks really good? See, if you read a book just with the text, you don't hear the pronunciation. Sorry, you're not hearing pronunciation. You're not improving your listening. If you read but also listen to an audiobook, you hear the correct pronunciation of every word. That's huge. And you're also training your listening. So when you hear the word spoken, you'll understand it, right? Because reading and listening are quite different. Listening is more difficult. Ah, cool. The Iranian from Who Loves Rack says, I'm learning from you more than anyone else in my life. God bless you and your great family. You have a great heart. Lots of love to you from Iran. Nice. Thank you very much. Bejo Bera says, can you please give an idea or suggestion for audio samples? Like audio, where to find? Well, podcasts are great. This is like what I'm doing right now, right? They tend to be very natural. I'll recommend Joe Rogan. I think it's #1 in America. The Joe Rogan podcast. He's quite an interesting guy. His English is not so difficult, I think. And he has interesting topics. I like Joe Rogan, so there you go. Joe Rogan, if you want another podcast to try the Joe Rogan podcast. Muhammad Obi says, I think only the right way to accomplish goals is to take action consistently. Thank you. You made me a leader. Wonderful. Yes, consistent action. That's right. It's just the key thing is, our topic today is that we have to be taking the right consistent actions. This is where the beliefs can sometimes cause us problems, that we'll be taking consistent action, but it's consistent wrong action, right? It's like people who are focused on grammar rules and trying to memorize every single grammar rule of English and all the exceptions. They're taking consistent action. They're doing it every day, but they're doing the wrong thing. So they're not getting very good results from it. They're getting very frustrated. They're trying hard, but they're doing the wrong thing. So this is why our beliefs or our paradigm, right, our viewpoint can sometimes really cause problems for us and can cause a huge amount of frustration. It's very frustrating when you're working hard, you're disciplined, you're consistent, but still failing, right? Very, very frustrating. And this can happen because, again, that you're working in the wrong way. You're using the wrong method. You're doing the wrong actions. You're working hard, but not smart. So this is why sometimes we need to think. It's not enough to work hard. It's not enough just to have discipline. You have to do the right thing also. Sometimes that's the hardest part, figuring out, well, what's the right thing to do? And then everything becomes easier then. All right, I think we're almost finished. Matam Kumar says, Japan just launched its first big whale submarine. I have no idea. Is that like a nuclear submarine or something? I'm not sure. I don't really. The truth is, I don't follow Japanese news at all. So I don't really, and I know basically nothing about Japanese politics. So, I'm a guest here. My attitude is it's not my business. I'm a guest. It's not up to me to interfere in Japanese society or politics. So, anyway, yeah, interesting. Good for them. Oh, cool. Curious Mind says, AJ, you sound natural. I, as an Indian person, can easily understand you. Good. All right, guys. I think that's all for today. So the key message for today, just to summarize, is that we need to examine. Sometimes you have to examine your beliefs, your viewpoint, your mindset about something, about an area of your life. Especially, I think it's a good sign to do this. It's an important sign when you're frustrated, right? When you feel you are working hard for a while and not getting the results you want, and you're getting very frustrated. This is kind of a sign that maybe the problem is you're just doing the wrong thing. You're working hard. You're disciplined. You're smart, right? You're not lazy. The problem is you're just doing the wrong thing. You have the wrong strategy. You have the wrong belief. And so this is when you need to think about it. Like, what are my beliefs? What strategy am I using? What is my viewpoint about this? And is there something different, right? Can I think about it in a very different way? Could I try something very, very, very different? And often when you do that, you will find that you'll get much better success faster, more easily, and have a huge life change. Now for English, I recommend try my VIP program. It's just $1 to try it. EffortlessEnglishClub.com. I just made it super cheap for 10 days. You can try it for $1. So it's a great way to try. Just try Effortless English in general, and then you can decide. Continue going with my VIP program. You could add one of my other courses like Power English. Just go to EffortlessEnglishClub.com, or if you don't even want to spend $1, you could just get my email course for free at EffortlessEnglishClub.com. Lots of love to you. I will see you next time.